Hi, and welcome to Three Questions. Welcome, everybody. Mark Audette with us from OMG Insurance and Financial Services. Good afternoon, Mark. Welcome to the show, bud.
Evan, good afternoon. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you taking the time, my friend. So, Mark, why don't we start at the beginning? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So, my humble beginning started in 1980 with Prudential Insurance. And I started at a time where we were actually still collecting premiums door to door. And so I had a long time to live in this business. And over the years, I learned quite a bit about financial planning and being able to manage risks for my clients for their money, for their lives. That's what the financial services business does. So that's exactly what I do. Is I manage to all my clients' risk, whether it's investment or if it's hazard risk, that kind of thing. That's really what my wheelhouse is.
So, Mark, as we enter very uncertain times right now, a lot of volatility, and as someone who's 57, I'm paying a lot more attention now, Mark. When I was younger, I'm like, the express, it's going to come back, Mark. Don't worry about it. Well, now as I'm getting a little older, and when you open your statement, you're like, oh my, it becomes a lot more important as you age to make sure you're paying attention, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so one of the things that I learned, and it opened up my eyes, it changed how I used or did my practice, and that was the market crash of 2008. And when I started, all my clients and myself were very young, and we had a long time to be in the market and tolerate risk. And then, that was 14 years ago. So I was 48, 49 years old. And I'm coming to find out that people that are approaching 50 or in their mid 50s don't really have that much appetite for risk, especially when it comes to their money in their 401k. We're seeing that now in the current marketplace. So really, that's where a lot of people have to be able to sort of understand that the arrow's not always going to point up. It is definitely going to point down. But having said that, what's happening now and what happened in 2008 are really not the traditional functions of fear versus greed making the market ebb and flow. We have different factors that are going into it that don't fit into the standard model. So 2008 was the first time that we had fear, greed, and widespread corruption in the market. And there isn't anything that the average investor can do inside of a mutual fund or any other kind of investment that can really control that. So true investments are really, things like real estate and private equity stuff. And most people don't have the finances or the resources to be in that. So you have to be careful as to what you're investing in. And that's where guys like me come in.
So, Mark, one of the other things I've seen from time to time is people get to be around my age, later 50s, and they start thinking about retirement and realize I didn't plan properly. So then they try looking for the home runs. Hey, I'm going to put all my money in this risky investment. And when and if it works, they think they're the next, Wizard of Wall Street type of thing. But that's in theory a horrible idea, right?
Yeah, there's the old saying, it's kind of a play on the old Bible verse, live by the sword, die by the sword. And if you're going to live by the return, you're going to die by the return. So that's where you have to sit and kind of put your head on and gather your wits about you and figure out how do you want to proceed and how much risk you can really tolerate. Because if you're going to try to hit that home run, you might, but you might not. So really, financial security is really built on a series of steps, starting with a solid base. And then as you go further up the base, you can take more risk because you've taken care of the things that are going to give you stability. And really, if you're at an age in your mid 50s, late 50s, now's the time to have a discussion with somebody that can put that into perspective for you and hold your hand a little bit. One of the things that I always, I kind of chuckle at is that there's these commercials for these wealth management firms, and I'm not putting them down because there are people in our organization that do this, but the commercials always sort of depict people that are holding their hands. The couple, they're holding their hands, and they're a beautiful couple. And the financial advisor says, yep, you can buy the sailboat and you can sail around the world. And they're like, oh, everything's just wonderful. Well, I've been doing this a long time. I don't see a lot of that.
Mhm.
You know, that's not really the reality. So you have to keep things in perspective and keep it realistic to your situation.
I like that advice, Mark, because a couple of things. When people ask me, Kev, what do you want to do when you retire? It's not a sailboat, Mark. But I honestly don't know. You know, it's like, well, how can you plan for it if you don't know what you want? I'm like, I'm still busy living, working, you know, that I think about it occasionally, but you know, when you have that, you know, tell us what your vision is to make sure we can plan for it. What if you don't know, bud? That what, how do you help people like me?
So that's a great question, because again, that for being old, you live enough years, you see those situations unfold in front of you. And you know, I use my father as an example. It's like my father's real purpose was to be able to be the caretaker for my mom until she passed, and then I was his caretaker. And he was still, you know, healthy enough the last 21 months of his life that he could have gone out and done a few things. So I always told him, I said, Dad, you're going to have buddies, you know, you're going to have places to go and people to see. So this notion of retirement where somebody says, that's it, I've had it, I'm done, I'm cashing in, and now, you know, what do I do? If you lose your purpose, you lose the reason to get up out of bed. You've got to redefine yourself. The notion of just retiring and doing nothing, even if you have the financial resources to travel, after a while, it's going to get old, because I have friends that took packages from big companies, and they're financially all set, but I have a friend right up the street here. She's getting a little wacko with, you know, because she hasn't got enough things to preoccupy her time in her mind. So she's in her early to mid 60s. She's fixated on the things that could actually kill her instead of living her life to the fullest. So this is the whole thing.
Yeah.
So retirement is emotional, but it's financial, but it's emotional as well.
Yep, which leads us to the next question. One of the things I see happen, Mark, is people are embarrassed. You know, they're my age and they have very little put away for retirement. And, you know they need to talk to you, but they're like, I'm going to be embarrassed. Well, how much have you saved? 2,500, Mark. I'm good, right? I can check out. It's okay if you haven't made the plan, but you need to talk about it. What type of adjustments can you make now, right? And not
Right.
just put your head in the sand.
Right. So, I mean, if you're in a dire situation like that, I mean, you have to think about it realistically. So if you've failed to save for your retirement and you're in the 11th hour, I mean, what are you going to do? Go out in the backyard and just dig a hole and pull the dirt over you? I think it's far from it. I think one of the things that media and advertising has done is created this sort of this panic in the people that don't have the resources to buy the boat and sail around the world with their beautiful spouse. So there are things that you can do. What you have to do is you just have to whatever you have currently is just make the best of the situation, because there is, aside from your retirement savings, there's Social Security. There's options, which I don't get involved. Like, you know, if you were really up against it and you had a house and you're over 62 years old, you can explore the reverse mortgage market. And I don't do that. I think there might be people in our organization that does that, but there are things that you can do. And actually, you know, for a lot of folks, it might mean working a few more years, but now you're embracing work as something, as a privilege and a blessing, as opposed to something that you just want to shed and just, you know, shun away from, because, you know, that notion of sitting around and just, you know, getting up and watching The Price is Right and then going to the early bird at 4:30 and then being in bed by 9. It's like, maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
Yep.
But you definitely need to have a conversation with somebody who can guide you through that and
key.
actually talk you off the ledge.
Yep. So Mark, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? How can they do that?
So you can go to my website, and actually, you want me to do something? Is it all right if I do something high tech?
Sure.
Because you see that?
Yeah, we can see it now. There you go. That's awesome. Just a little higher for the phone number. Up a little. There you go. We got it.
So the reason why I did that, because it's omgfinsvcs.com.
Yep.
And so I'm 63. So it's like with my hearing, I'd be like, what the hell did he just say? So,
Unfortunately. So, hey, Mark, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to come on the show. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, as
Yeah.
always. Thanks for being my friend, bud.
thanks, Kev. Same here. Thank you.